Hey everybody, welcome back into another edition of 100 Essential Jazz Standards. In this episode, we're going to go over an excellent tune by one of my favorite saxophone players and composers of all time, Joe Henderson. This is going to be all about Recorda. So for saxophonists, Joe Henderson is right up there with, Coltrane and Charlie Parker. And I don't know, do people listen to Joe Henderson? I do every day. So if you're not familiar with Joe's music, this one's going to be a fun one. And this is a deceivingly difficult tune. It has a really short form, only 16 measures, but he packs a lot of stuff into that 16 measures. And this is another one where the melody, depending on what instrument you play, can be pretty difficult. So just make sure that you spend a bunch of time learning the melody to this tune, as well as the chord changes, which we're going to be talking about in this episode. So as far as recordings, there aren't a whole ton of recordings of this that aren't Joe Henderson. But the good news is that Joe Henderson has recorded this probably a dozen times. So you're going to have a lot of different recordings to choose from that were done by Joe, who was the composer of this tune. This, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, is also the first bossa nova that we've done in this series. So it's going to give you something a little bit different to think about and play in terms of the rhythmic feel that is behind this standard. So the first recording you should check out, without a doubt, is the original recording of this on an album called Page 1 by Joe Henderson. His solo on that is just pure magic. So check that one out first, and then you can find a lot of recordings that came after that of Joe playing it in all sorts of different styles at all sorts of different tempos. So without any further ado from me, you know what we do here on this series. We dive in, we analyze the chords together, and then as always, I prepare an etude for you. I'm going to do something a little bit different with the etude. I'm going to start putting that on my Patreon. And this is the Patreon that involves this YouTube channel plus the 10-minute jazz lesson podcast. So by signing up for that Patreon for a really, really small monthly donation, you get access to all those materials. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below so you can go and check out that Patreon site. But that is where the etude and the analysis are going to live. I figured that would be a good hub for all of my jazz education materials. So go and check that out if you're interested in getting your hands on the etude and the analysis. Okay, let's dive right into the analysis. Okay, so let's dive right into this analysis. It is not going to take very long because this form is so short. So I think about this form as A, B, and even though it goes through a lot of different keys, it's actually very, very simple. We just need to keep up with all the different keys that we're going through. So I would say that this tune is in the key of A minor, but you could argue about that because there are several other key centers that might make more sense. The tune ends up in the key of F major, so it's kind of a little bit foggy as to exactly what key this is, but I'm going to go ahead and call it key of A minor. So we start with 4 measures of A minor. And then we modulate with literally no preparation whatsoever to the key of C minor. So we're going from A minor up to C minor. Now, there's a reason for it modulating to the key of C minor, and that is this C minor chord, which we're calling 1 for these 3 measures, is actually going to become 2, and we're going to go 2, 5 to the key of B flat major. So you could also argue that this is just one extended 2 chord, but I don't think that's the case because this key really establishes itself for 3 measures here. We've got the 4 measures of A minor, we've got 3 measures of C minor, and then it moves into this 2, 5, 1 in the key of B flat major. And that's where we have our third modulation. So we go from A minor to the key of C minor, and then that C minor becomes the 2, we go to the 5, and then we go to the key of B flat major. Now what we do is we start this descending pattern of 3 keys moving down by whole steps. So we go from the key of B flat major, the B flat chord becomes minor, becomes the 2, then the 5, and then the 1 of A flat major, then the exact same thing happens. So that A flat major chord becomes minor, becomes the 2, then we have a 5, and then a 1 in G flat major. So there's our 3 keys of descending whole steps: B flat major to A flat major to G flat major. Then we step outside of that pattern and we do a 2, 5, 1 in the key of F major. And then we simply use a 5 of A minor to get us back into the top. And this is a really nice sounding chord. This is a sharp 9 chord. Now it's important to realize that during the melody, this chord actually happens on beat 4 instead of beat 1 of the last measure. So just understand that. But normally when you're playing over the tune, a lot of times this will just be a full measure right here at the end. So let's check out what this whole B section sounds like starting from this 2-5 right here in measure 8. So we get 2, 5, 1, key of B flat major, 2, 5, 1, key of A flat major, 2, 5, 1, key of G flat major, then we move up a half step. We end up in the key of F major, and then that simply moves down by a half step, and we get that E7 sharp 9. And then that leads us back into the top. So while this form is not very long, there's not all that much to keep track of. It'll actually be pretty easy to memorize. There's still a lot going on, and getting through 1, 2, 3, 4 different keys in the span of 8 measures, well, 9 measures, is actually pretty tough. So that's what you'll have to work on this tune, is really being able to deal with all of these short 2-5-1s and then not being in one key for more than 2 measures, basically ever, in the second half. The first half is really fun. You get to really stretch in one key. You get 4 full measures in that key of A minor, and then you get 3 full measures in that key of C minor before you even have to think about going anywhere else. So you have to kind of balance the first half of the tune with the second half of the tune. All right, let's check out the Etude, and hopefully that will give you a few more ideas on this tune. All right, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of the chord changes. If you have any questions about those chord changes, definitely let me know in the comments below, or let me know what you're thinking about this tune. If you already know it, if you want to learn it, any thoughts you might have, that's a great place for discussion. Remember, you can get all the materials on the Patreon site, which is also linked below. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of 100 Jazz Standards and you got something out of it. Maybe learned something new. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. That really does help us with this video to get the video out to more people that can use it just like you. And if you love the video and you want more stuff like this, consider subscribing and hit that little bell notification so that you will never miss a video that we put out. All right, hope you're doing well, everybody. And most of all, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one. Bye.